An open letter to peace lovers everywhere. Dear peace activist, lover of peace. I'd like to explain why I believe that as a lover of peace, you should support the Israeli actions in Gaza. I don't, of course, mean killing of the 9 members of the boat, flotilla. That was a terrible intelligence failure, a human tragedy, a loss of life. But I do mean that you should support some form of blockade or the isolation of Hamas as a lover of peace. Why? Why is the isolation of Hamas, some form of blockade against Gaza, an important piece as a lover of peace? Let's consider what happens if there's no blockade. If there's no blockade, Hamas has shown the desire and ability to import rockets from Iran and other places. If there are more rockets, there will be rockets showering on Israel. If you love peace, you don't want rockets showering on Israel. If there are rockets showering on Israel, Israel is not in a position to make other peace concessions at that point. If you're a lover of peace, you want peace concessions. They will not be made under fire. Number 2, the blockade is a way for Israel to protect itself. Now, if you say, well, no, Israel should not protect itself. Gaza has a right to arm like any other entity, and Israel should not protect itself from the hostile enemy, then I guess Israel wouldn't want to give up more land. Because as a lover of peace, you probably want Israel to make concessions on Jerusalem, on the West Bank, which many Israelis and Israeli governments have been willing to entertain and have made various offers in good faith to the Arab people. But you have to affirm their right to self-defense. If giving back land to the Palestinian Authority or to Hamas means that they will then shoot rockets, and that we have no right for self-defense in response, then Israel is less likely to make concessions on Jerusalem and the West Bank. And as a lover of peace, you want Israel to make concessions on Jerusalem and the West Bank, don't you? Number 3. Some of the people on board, the flotillas, although not all, were not peaceful. Not on that day, when they were beating Israelis with batons, and not in general, as some of them were activists for jihad and terrorism. And as a lover of peace, you don't want to support people who beat people with batons, who planned that sort of attack. Number 4. If you want peace, you have to defeat those forces who don't want peace. Hamas is avowed not to make any concessions or any peace with Israel. As a lover of peace, you would want to, on the contrary, to bolster the enemy of the Hamas, namely the Palestinian Authority, Fatah, who want to negotiate for peace. So why would you want to do something that would support Hamas? Number 5. If you strengthen Hamas by giving them the ability to arm again, then surely Hamas will be stronger. They'll be as strong as they were last time when they defeated the Palestinian Authority in Gaza in just a few days, without much of a fight back. If Israel thinks that Hamas is strong, they will not make peace and will not make concessions to a Palestinian Authority only to be taken over the next day by Hamas, which is hostile to Israel. So if you want peace, then you can't want a strong Hamas. Number 6. You can't love peace and support terrorism. It's nonsense. Hamas is a terror-loving state. They have blown up children in pizza parlors. They have shown the desire to die and kill for their cause. Number 7. Hamas wants to destroy Israel. That is not a peaceful means. That is not a peaceful idea. If you love peace, you cannot love Hamas. Number 8, if you want humanitarian aid to come in, you have to assure the Israelis that no rockets are being transported or things that could become rockets are being transported as well. If you want to just, right now, hundreds of thousands of humanitarian aid, tons of humanitarian aid are coming in all the time. If, however, you're going to allow just any old boat to come in, Israel may have to stop all the boats that come in. Instead of having a system to transport humanitarian aid, you'll have a stoppage of all aid that comes through. That's not something you should want as a lover of peace. Now, if you love peace, you probably love the evacuation of the Israelis and the settlers from Gaza. And you would probably want Israel to evacuate from the West Bank as well. But if the evacuation from Gaza means the arming of Gaza and subsequent rockets from Gaza, then the Israelis can only imagine to themselves that evacuation from the West Bank will also, or could also, bring the rockets, showering of rockets on Israel, and an outcry from the international community and lovers of peace, so-called, that if they defend themselves, if they fight back, if they attack this authority for showering rockets on us, we will be condemned. So Israel is less likely to make concessions on the West Bank if indeed they do not have a sense that they can defend themselves against such an authority and such an entity. And so if you love peace, you cannot love Hamas. If you support Hamas, you support blowing up unprovoked civilians in pizza places and other places. If you support Hamas, you support terrorizing a whole country with rockets. If you support Hamas, you're hurting the Palestinian Authority's chances of making peace. If you support Hamas, you support the smuggling of weapons into Gaza to harm Israeli civilians. If you love peace, you're not out there trying to break the siege in Gaza, but you're out there trying to support the Palestinian Authority, Fayyad, who's trying to develop the economy in the Palestinian territories. And yes, if you're a lover of peace, you would give some support to the state of Israel. Because as a humanitarian, you respect the idea of self-determination, the right of every nation to have a state. What about Israel? What about the Jewish people? Do we have a right too? Hamas is out to destroy the Jewish nation. Wants no sort of negotiation. As a lover of peace, you should want no part of that entity. Sincerely, a lover of peace. Thank you.